of Swords. Ta-da! New beginnings, new ideas, new clarity. It's all good. The aces often represent an unusual opportunity, one of those moments that enter our lives as a gift, often unexpected, always fleeting. The Ace of Swords in particular suggests that it is time to look at life in a new way or act on a new idea that will change things dramatically. Don't let this moment pass you by without taking advantage of whatever it is the universe is offering. Open your mind and let the light shine in. Things to consider. Sometimes an idea will come to you in a flash, a new plan of action when you thought you were stuck, a new way of looking at an old situation. The Ace of Swords is a reminder to be open to such things. Has someone suggested something to you recently that you originally dismissed? Try thinking about it again. Are you feeling a sudden shift in attitude? Go with it. That flash may be the light glinting off the edge of the sword of truth. Two of Swords. A. No B. No A. Damn it. You think you don't know the answer, but you do. The witch in this picture has a decision to make, but is it possible she isn't going about making it in the most effective way? Even the cat knows she's being silly. Sometimes it is hard to be decisive when faced with a difficult choice, but the Two of Swords tells you that you already know which answer is right. You just have to take off your blindfold and really look at the situation. Things to consider. What aren't you looking at clearly? If you are trying to make a tough choice, what does your gut say to do? Probably the options aren't as tough to choose between as you are making it seem. Try flipping a coin. If you are disappointed with the side that comes up, you clearly wanted to do the other. Don't be fooled into thinking that this decision is impossible to make. Really, you already know what to do. Three of Swords. Oh, my achy breaky heart. Sometimes heartbreak is unavoidable. The least you can do is learn from it. The Three of Swords is one of those cards that can't possibly mean anything other than bad news. As the picture suggests, it is an indication of hurt and heartbreak, often brought about by poor communication or just plain malice. It may signify betrayal or simply a broken heart. Either way, all that can be done is to pick up the pieces and try to learn something from the situation so that you never end up back here again. Things to consider. If this card is in the past position, it suggests that previous heartbreak is influencing how you view the world. Is this a good thing keeping you from getting hurt again? Or is it holding you back from trusting others? If it is the present, ouch, so sorry. Maybe the situation can be repaired with better communication? Probably not, though. So, what can you learn? If it shows up in a future position, maybe you can act now to prevent a crisis, or to run away. Four of Swords. To sleep and perchance to dream. Are you resting or retreating? We all need to pull back from the world from time to time and take a break, catch our breath, and regroup. The trick is to know the difference between the lack of movement that is positive and beneficial and the lack of movement that means we are stuck in a state of suspended animation. Things to consider. Depending on where this card falls in a reading, it may be a suggestion that you need to rest and refresh your spirit, giving yourself the time and space to renew body, mind, and spirit. Alternately, it may indicate that you are stuck in a rut, spinning your wheels when you should be taking action. Are you tired and overwhelmed? Are you running away from making a tough choice or taking decisive action that you know is needed? Is there someone in your life who is holding you back or whose lack of action has a negative effect on your current circumstances? This card indicates that they are stuck and probably not going to change. Do you need a rest or do you need a wake-up call? 5 of Swords. Be careful what you wish for. Just because you get what you want doesn't mean you're going to be happy with what you got. Sometimes sharing is better than winning. Yay, I get all the swords. One of these witches sure is looking happier than the other too. It looks like her spell won out over those others, and she has proven herself to be the superior magic wielder. But at what cost? Maybe she got so caught up in the moment that she didn't think about some of the consequences. But it is pretty clear there are going to be some. At best, there will be a lack of trust in the future. At worst, her friends will never work with her again. Was it worth it? Somewhere down the road, she may be wishing she'd played a little nicer. Things to consider. Life is a lot easier when people work together instead of always trying to win or be the best. The 5 of Swords reminds us of the cost of being obsessed with coming out on top, and it warns us that there may be those around us who aren't really looking out for our best interests. Are you playing nice? 6 of Swords. Any place but here. Sometimes you just have to get gone. Try not to take your troubles with you. This witch isn't going to spend one more minute where she is. She's already on her way with only a few necessities because time is of the essence, and sometimes it is better to get out with nothing than to hang on to things or people that are weighing you down. But she's not traveling alone. Isn't it clear if she is It isn't clear if she is helping her traveling companions or if they are helping her. But either way, they are in this together. An arcane gesture to summon the wind, and they're off into an unknown future. All she knows is that any place will be better than whatever it is that she is leaving behind. Things to consider. Sometimes there are situations you simply can't fix. Unhealthy relationships, jobs that beat you down, dangerous or unproductive circumstances. If you're dealing with one of these, you have to ask yourself if it is time to cut your losses and just get out. And there is no shame in asking for help to do so, if you need to, or maybe someone else needs your help to escape their own bad situation. It's okay to lend a hand as long as you are sure you're not going to end up carrying the burdens that don't belong to you. 7 of Swords. La la la, nothing to see here. I'm carrying this stuff with me, but am I running away or running to? There's something wrong with this picture, isn't there? Our friend carrying the swords is clearly someplace she doesn't belong and doing something she isn't supposed to be doing. But sometimes appearances can be deceiving. Is she taking something away or is she bringing something in? Is there some kind of heroic mission involved or merely underhanded mischief? Whichever it is, it looks like shenanigans are afoot. Things to consider. The Seven of Swords can be a warning to be alert. Whatever situation you're in the midst of may be more complicated than it appears to be, and it might be hard to know who to trust. If something seems off, you should probably listen to your instincts. On the other hand, don't jump to conclusions. There may be a perfectly reasonable explanation for that guy walking off with all your jewelry. Maybe he's just taking it out to be cleaned. 8 of Swords. Is it dark in here or is it me? I gotta get out of this place if it's the last thing I ever do. Oh crap. The witch in this picture is thinking, I'm trapped and I can't see the way out. But if you look closer, you will see that her hands aren't really tied. All she has to do is let go of the ribbon that binds them, pull off her blindfold, and look more closely at whatever it is she doesn't really want to see. Her faithful companion is already working hard at trying to help her free herself. She just has to stop panicking and start thinking clearly. She already has all the answers she needs. The little bluebird offers a glimmer of hope. Things to consider. Sometimes we get so caught up in a situation that we tie ourselves into knots. It feels like we're trapped by circumstance or by the actions of others, but in truth, it is our own fear that keeps us bound and unable to move forward in a productive fashion. Ask yourself if this card represents you. If it does, you already know how to free yourself. So the real question is, why don't you? Try not to let emotion overwhelm your ability to think clearly. Take a deep breath, stop panicking for a moment, and the solution will probably present itself. Of course, that doesn't mean you're going to like it. If it were easy, you probably would have done it already. 9 of Swords. Woe is me. It's always darkest before the dawn. Who hasn't had a night like this one? This witch is overwhelmed with sadness, and although there is no way for us to tell exactly what she's been obsessing over, whatever it is has clearly been weighing heavily on her mind and heart. In her head, everything seems hopeless, and yet if she would only stop crying for a moment and look up, she would see that it is the dawn of a brand new day. Anything is possible. She is not as alone as she feels. Things to consider. All of us have times when life seems overwhelming. Our hearts are broken or our spirit is crushed, and it seems like we will always feel this way. If the 9 of Swords is in the past position, you may finally be working your way out of the dark. Whew. If it is in the present, then you want to ask yourself if things are truly as bad as they seem, or maybe they are, or if you are letting yourself get caught up in the spiral of self-pity and despair that never gets you anywhere. In either case, you should probably pick your head up and look around. There may be a light at the end of the tunnel that you're missing completely because you're so caught up in the drama of the situation. If the 9 of Swords falls in the future position, it is a warning. Better pay attention or you may end up crying. 10 of Swords. Watch your back. Ouch. That's gonna leave a mark. Well, that didn't go exactly as planned, did it? The 10 of Swords is one of those cards that clearly demonstrates the saying, some days you get the bear, some days the bear gets you. In the case of the poor witch in this picture, the bear, or some other foe has won the day. The battle is over. But take a closer look because she's not beaten. Battered, you bet. Maybe ready to give up on this particular situation and call it a total loss. But none of this means that she can't learn something from the experience, even if what she's learned is who not to turn her back on next time. She's just going to wait until she is sure the coast is clear, then pull those stupid swords out and limp away with her faithful cat beside her, sadder but wiser. Things to consider. If the Ten of Swords shows up in your reading in the past or present positions, you're probably feeling a bit rough right now. Did someone let you down or deceive you? If so, were you really surprised? Or did you know in your heart of hearts that they couldn't be trusted, but you didn't want to listen to that inner warning voice? What can you learn from your experience, whatever it was? If some plan went horribly wrong, it may not have been your fault. The one thing you can do is pick yourself up, pull the stupid swords out of your back, and keep going. If the Ten of Swords shows up in the future position, watch out. This is a serious warning, and maybe if you heed it, you can save yourself a lot of grief somewhere down the line. Page of Swords. Impulsive or intuitive? You decide. I don't need to know where I'm going to get there. Look at this young witch, ready to hit the road in search of a new idea or daring adventure. Ah, youth. It doesn't really matter if he is prepared. He's going anyway, and that's okay. After all, everyone has to start somewhere. No doubt he'll learn a lot on the journey. The only question is, will he learn it the hard way or the easy way? No one really knows until they try. Things to consider. The pages often represent a younger person, a child, or someone for whom you feel responsible. But as we know, everyone is young at heart, so no matter what age you are, this card can also represent you if you are following an idea or beginning on a new path to a new goal. The Page of Swords indicates a mixture of enthusiasm and uncertainty, coupled with determination to pursue the journey to its end, no matter where it leads. Just be sure that you aren't following an idea just because it appeals to you on an intellectual rather than an emotional level, but isn't based in fact or practicality. There is such a thing as being too smart for your own good. Knight of Swords. Charge! Ready or not, here I come. The Knight of Swords is coming. Best get out of his way. Unless, of course, he is here to sweep you off your feet. The Knights are all about movement, this one more so than the others. Once he gets an idea in his head, there will be no stopping him. Of course, if he's on your side, you may not want him to. The Knight of Swords is a capable ally, determined and focused, maybe a little too focused, in fact, since he can be hard to stop once he gets going. If you are going along for the ride, expect to feel the wind in your hair and see the ground far underneath your feet. Things to consider. When the Knight of Swords appears in a reading, he often represents an impetuous younger man. There are times, however, when he is the knight on a white horse, riding in to rescue the fair damsel. Either way, you are probably going to have to rescue him or let him rescue you. Or you could just watch him chase that idea, whatever it is. Unless, of course, you have an idea of your own you want to chase, in which case, charge! Queen of Swords. I am a wise woman, powerful and in control. Sometimes you need to cut through the nonsense and take charge of your own life. The Queen of Swords is a wise and experienced woman. She has been around long enough to feel secure in her own position and to know how to see clearly despite any emotion that might cloud the thoughts of others. While not cold, she is calm and cool. Whatever you do, don't try to lie to her. Her sword isn't just for decoration. She will be fierce in the defense of what she feels is right, and she will come to the aid of any who are under her protection. Make sure you stay on her good side, and she will be an ally when you need one. Things to consider. If the Queen of Swords represents someone else in your reading, she may be an older woman or someone with power in your life. You will recognize her by her insistence on truth and fair play. You can depend on her for her help as long as you are willing to work by her rules. If the Queen represents you, your strength and intelligence are clear to others. Unfortunately, some might find those qualities intimidating, so be careful not to be too cool and distant when dealing with others. But don't be afraid to let your intellect shine out either. Wisdom and clarity of thought are good things to have in a confusing world. King of Swords. Look to me for answers from the head, not the heart. Sometimes wisdom requires a cool head and the voice of experience. The King of Swords is one cool customer. He is all about logic and reason, intrigued by ideas but not interested in fantasy. If you need wisdom, you should seek him out. But if you're looking for a hug, you'd be better off going to the King of Cups, or, anywhere else. The King of Swords can help you when you need practical advice or a calm, clear head. Just don't expect sympathy. All he wants is the facts, ma'am. Things to consider. If the King of Swords shows up in a reading, like all kings, he may represent a strong male figure, but one who is not emotionally involved with you. A boss, perhaps, or a mentor who teaches but doesn't make a deeper connection. He is someone who supports you because you are in the right or because he feels it is his duty, but it's not out of love or sentiment. That doesn't mean you can't accept the help he offers. Just don't mistake it for something it isn't. If this card is in a position where it represents you, it may suggest that you are reacting from logic or practicality without taking emotional issues into consideration. Or, just possibly, it is a reminder to keep your cool.